This is The Road Show, and I'm your host, David Warren. On today's program, we welcome back our friend J.P. Jones, author of 31 Days of Marketing. She also serves as creative director of Calypsis Web Solutions, which happens to be our web host here at the Oasis Network. Our website address, by the way, is oasisnetwork.org. And JP, welcome to the program. And let me start off by saying how proud we are of all your work on oasisnetwork.org. Thank you so much for what you do.
Well, you've clearly read my book because I loved how you slid that plug right in there.
Well, it is a great website, and you maintain it so beautifully. Again, our website address is oasisnetwork.org, and you're back on the program today to give us an updated version of what's going on in the world of marketing. And again, you have this book called 31 Days of Marketing, little bite-sized pieces to get any business, ministry, or church to the next level. As we get going, define marketing for our listeners. What is it?
Marketing is anything you do to promote a brand, an organization, a business, a group, whatever it is you're promoting. It is getting your name out there. It's all the different facets that are involved in basically spreading the word.
All right. One of the many facets that we'll talk about today are websites. This seems to be the driving force behind most companies, ministries, and churches. This is one of your many fortes, so let's get going on websites. One of the quotes you have in the book is, you say, JP, you have 30 seconds to either capture or lose visitors' attention online. So what are people wanting to see and what aren't they wanting to see when they visit websites?
Well, I think most importantly, when they are visiting a website, they have a preconceived notion of what they're looking for. Rarely are they really just drifting around. Occasionally that'll happen, but typically when they hit your website, they're looking for something specific. They may be looking for a way to get involved. They may be looking for a way to donate. They may be just looking for a way to contact the organization. But the most important thing that you can do is make sure that all of the options for your organization are up front, ready to go, easy to find. Because what is going to happen is if they've come there with that preconceived notion of what they're looking for and they don't find it quickly, they're gone. We've lost them to something else. They're going to go back to Google. They're going to start all over. And so it's just very important to capture them and make sure that they can find what they're looking for in that first visit to your site as soon as they get on there. We don't want them to have to hunt around. We don't want them to have to scroll a lot to try to find something. We want it to just be there and be up front.
When you see a website that you don't like as a designer and as a host, what is typically the problem with that website that you notice right off the bat?
Well, I think most importantly, it would be that functionality. Design is subjective. We can all look at the same thing, and some of us will love it and some of us will hate it. But if it's not got the basic functionality where it's easy to use and easy for the user to navigate, then we're just failing. We're failing to get our message out there. We're failing to connect with our users that are visiting the site in general. We work hard to get them to the website. So once you get them there, you want to make sure that they're easily finding what they're looking for. And so I would say, the biggest mistake that we kind of see in that market is that people will choose design over functionality. So they may want to do something that they think looks really good, and it may look really good. I mean, I'm not saying that it doesn't, but if it hinders the functionality of being able to find something easily or being able to find something quickly, we have to find that balance between the two because functionality needs to be king.
And one of the other quotes in your book about websites is you say that if your site looks neglected, many prospective customers will turn away without a second glance. So would negligence be like outdated stuff, outdated look? What do you consider to be a neglected website?
Typically, that would be outdated content. So, for instance, if I visit a website and let's say they have a blog on the homepage, but I see that the last article was, April 2017, and this is something that actually happened recently on a site that we're rebuilding for somebody, because they've just not had the opportunity or the people or whatever the case may be to keep it updated. But when you go visit a site like that and you immediately see, okay, wait, this content's 5 years old now, are they still in business? What are they doing? And so it just kind of hurts your reputation, especially if you are somebody that's, actively seeking donations for maybe missions work or something like that, or if you're got an e-commerce component, because it makes people a little wary. So if this content is old and I'm clearly seeing old content, then how do I know they're still really functioning at a high capacity? And a lot of times it really is just the fact that they're too busy or they don't have the manpower or the staff that's keeping things updated. But it just it hurts that overall message very much.
One of the things that I've noticed, and of course you brought us up to standard now of a protected website. I'm trying to remember what the wording is. That there's like a lock in the address line, but many...
Yes, your SSL.
Your SSL. Many websites that I visit still say this is potentially an unsafe website. Do you want to say what that's all about?
Yeah. Now, in some cases, it is not as important as others. So, for instance, if a site's not taking financial donations, if it's not got an e-commerce component, then they may, say, okay, well, we're going to choose not to do this. The only danger that you have nowadays, though, is, hackers seem to have an abundance of time today. We see everything from Facebook profiles to, bank accounts getting hacked and getting compromised online. And so I would say that in today's marketplace, it's even more important that even if you're not doing these financial transactions or those kind of things, to go ahead and make sure that your site is a secure site. It doesn't guarantee, above all, that nobody's ever going to be able to hack it, but it does at least show that you're putting your effort in there to try to do what you can do on your side.
I remember before we went with Calypsys, which is your web hosting company, the one that you co-founded, I remember that we'd grown out of the ability of our previous web host team, and so we went shopping, and of course I got about 5 different quotes from 5 different companies because I asked different people whose websites I liked a lot. And JP, some people, maybe I shouldn't tell you this, but some people were coming in 10 times the amount of what you all charge.
I'm well aware.
where in the world do people come up with these random amounts? Some seem so outlandish to create a new web page for, in our case, a ministry.
Well, and part of that is because, and you might not would experience that as much today, but I think you're still going to see that quite a bit because the web industry is constantly changing, for one thing. Every time we wake up, it's a brand new day. There's new technology, there's new updates, there's new things going on. And so it can be difficult for these companies to stay on top of it. But I think a lot of what happens is they kind of pass that along to the client and say, okay, well, if you can't do this yourself, then you're going to have to pay for me to do that. What we've always tried to do, though, and we even tell, because we do a lot of sites for missionaries. I know I've already mentioned that once, but we always tell them, look, we know that your budget is small, and if budget is an issue, we will figure out a way to get you a website, because we see part of what we do, especially because the majority of our clients are churches and ministries and ministers and these people that are going back out and spreading the word. We see part of that as our ministry ourselves. We may not be out there on the front lines, but if we help them get their message out there, then we're doing our part. And so, we just expect the Lord to make up the difference. And so we do try to keep it budget friendly because it shouldn't be a matter of I can't spread my message because I don't have the money.
Well, one of the things that is so important that I want to recommend that anyone listening today that wants to switch to a different web hosting company, you need to make sure not only do you like the design ideas that they are presenting to you, but you need to make sure that they have a good, strong hold on the technical side of things. Because, JP, that's really where you can get in a ditch quickly with a website. So trying to find somebody who doesn't have just an eye for artistic layout, but who knows how to get things fixed quickly.
Well, and again, we've had that happen with us so many times with sites that we've maybe inherited or taken away. They may be beautiful, but, the store's been broken for, 2 years, and things like that. And like I said, it's difficult. And it's tough to find that designer or that host that has all the different aspects of it, in one place, because you want to make sure that, yes, they can keep you, a nice, sharp, clean design. And more importantly than that is to make sure that the functionality is going to be there and that your site's going to be working and it's going to be online and it's going to be, all of these things. And I mean, even with our company, over the years, we have growing pains and sometimes we have to switch servers and we have to do all of this kind of stuff. And so you're never going to have a company that should be able to guarantee a lot of the things that they guarantee, like your server's never going to go down, or, we're going to have you on the very front page of Google forever. So when they start making some of these big promises, that's when you should start sort of hearing these warning sounds and say, okay, wait, this is not exactly how it works.
And one more tip from David Warren here. When you are shopping for a new web host, make sure you get different quotes, as we've talked about. Make sure that your person or people, the team there, understands the technical side very well as the design side. But then find out from other users of that web host how available, how reachable is the team when you need them to get you out of a ditch. And JP, I know in your case that you all reply very quickly, but those are good things to know because you don't want to wait 3 or 4 days, especially when it has to do with the technical side of your website to get things fixed. Absolutely.
When your site goes down, or if there is a crisis or an issue or something's not working properly, you want to make sure that, again, in the case of a legitimate emergency, that somebody's going to be able to respond and somebody's going to start attacking it. It still may take a little bit to get it fixed, but at least they're on it.
Again, our website address is oasisnetwork.org, which JP designed based on our input. So if you're wondering, where did all that color scheme come from? Well, that's the color scheme we wanted, and JP delivered. And you can scroll down or simply type into a Google search Calypsis.com. That is Collipsis.com, Calypsis.com, and learn more about JP and the team there at Calypsis. They have clients in 34 states and 16 countries, so they serve a lot of our Christian missionaries around the world. Well, we're talking about marketing today with JP Jones. She is the author of the book 31 Days of Marketing, and there are many more things to talk about besides just websites. We're going to be covering public relations, traditional marketing such as TV, radio, print media, promotional materials, social media, and even personal appearances. We'll talk about these various aspects of marketing when we come back after the break. I'm David Warren here with some exciting news for Oasis listeners. We have a new mobile device app. It's free, easy to download, and lets you enjoy our refreshing music and talk everywhere you go. If you have an Android cell phone, go to the Google Play Store. And if you have an iPhone or iPad, visit the Apple Store and search for Oasis Radio Network. Be an Oasis ambassador and share this news with family and friends around the world.
There's food for the hungry, joy for the sad. I found an oasis of love. Oasis Network.
JP Jones is our special guest on today's Roadshow. I am David Warren, your host, and I am speaking with JP about her book, 31 Days of Marketing. I mentioned the website where JP is the co-founder and the creative director, which is Calypsis Web Solutions. Again, that website address for more information on website design is Calypsis.com, Collipsis.com. But JP's other website, which will be very helpful for anything having to do with what we're talking about today, which is marketing our business, our church, our ministry, jpjonesmarketing.com, jpjonesmarketing.com. Okay, section 1 of your book, JP, is about defining the goal regarding marketing. So the first thing to ask is, what am I offering? Next, what do I want to accomplish? And then finally, how can I accomplish my goal? And that's where you come in, as well as the book, and we'll start in section 2 with public relations. And you write in the book, throughout my college years, the only communications class that I didn't enjoy was public relations. Tell us about that experience.
For me, the public relations class was very difficult because there was no actual product we were promoting. It was a fictional product that somebody had, just came up with. And so I could not find within myself the passion and the drive to really get behind it. I struggled so much trying to come up with creative ways to advertise something that didn't really exist.
Okay, so how did you solve that problem?
Well, I did what I had to do to pass the class,
Okay.
but I realized in that moment that the only way to truly be able to succeed in public relations was if you believed in what it was you were promoting.
Mm-hmm. In fact, one of the statements you have in your book is you say that marketing is more about you being inspired by your product than it is about inspiring others. So it all starts with your level of enthusiasm as to how that marketing venture will turn out.
You know, human nature, we quickly see through people that we feel like are trying to game us into something. So whether it's,
Yeah.
you know, a product that they're trying to sell, you know, just to make money or whatever it is, but we can pick up on the ones that truly believe in what it is that they're promoting. And so I think when we have that same drive and passion and we believe in these particular products or organization, you know, and I use the word product, but it can interchange with whatever. But when we believe in what it is that we're promoting, we will inspire people to get a part of it without even trying to, because it's just going to come naturally out of us.
All right, so the three questions that we're asking ourselves before beginning a marketing venture. First of all, do I really believe in this product? That's a number one. Number two is, am I committed to making this product succeed? And JP, in your book, you give us some points here to determine if we truly are committed or not to our marketing venture. You ask, does your product or current venture naturally come up in conversation when others talk to you for more than 30 seconds? Also, when you go to bed at night, do you have to mentally turn off the ideas and new things you want to try in order to spread the word about your product? And here's one more. When you wake up in the morning, do you have to jot down ideas that have come to you during the night? If you found yourself answering yes to any of these questions, then you are committed. And then the third question to ask before you venture on out is, are you stubborn enough to see it through? And I think you and I probably both have a black belt in that. You for Calypsis and me for Oasis Radio Network.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Tell us about...
Well, and I love the quote by Edison where he says, you know, so many times people give up because they don't realize how close they are to actually succeeding. And I know the story, you know, about Rick Warren when he first wrote Purpose Driven Life. He drove copies around in his trunk for 10 years before he got a publisher that got that launch. And so all of these things that we say, oh, well, they succeeded and they did this, it took time, but so many people give up before they get there.
JP, tell us about your marketing venture when you co-founded Calypsis Web Solutions. Again, our web host here at Oasis and for many, many other clients. When was that?
We started out in 2007, and, you know, my business partner and I, we worked together over at Rhema at Kenneth Hagin Ministries. We were part of the IT department over there, and we actually had somebody that approached us. We weren't planning to start a business. We didn't have that, you know, on the agenda, but we had somebody approach us and they wanted to see if we could put our talents together and build a website. And so we got to thinking about it and talking about it. And, you know, one thing led to another. And we pitched that first client, landed the job. We worked at Panera. That was our office for a while. We worked at Panera after work. And we pitched that client. We got that first job. And it literally hasn't stopped since. And so for a little bit there, we were the web company without a website because we weren't even a company yet. We were just starting out. And so we grew from that one customer back in 2007. And today we have 436 websites live.
436.
Yes, sir.
And how many hours a week do you work, JP?
All of them.
I believe that answer.
All of them.
Well, it is paid off. You have won over 250 awards in your career. What are those awards for?
Everything from content writing to a lot of design awards, specifically in the web industry, a lot of functionality awards, awards for our philanthropy that we've done with, you know, every year we pick a nonprofit and we do a free website for them. So it just a little bit of everything, but it's an honor to be recognized for some of those things that we've done.
Well, congratulations on all your accomplishments. All right.
Thank you.
From the section on public relations, again, we're talking about the book 31 Days of Marketing with today's special guest, author, J.P. Jones. You talk about creating what's called a 30-second soundbite. And you say, can you describe yourself in 30 seconds or less? How should we be able to describe ourselves? What does that look like or sound like?
Well, I also tell people it's important that we kind of tailor it based on who we're talking to. Depending on where we're at, if we're at a networking event, then our soundbite might sound a little different than it would if we're, at a ball game. So the parts of ourselves that we choose to put into that soundbite are going to change from place to place and from situation to situation. But really, it should just be, here's who I am, here's what I do, and here's what I love about it. And so I always put in that last part about, what we enjoy about it, because if we're talking about these things and we're sharing parts of our story, we want to be positive about it. We want to be sharing things that are encouraging in these, first instances, because it goes back to that first impression. So for me, when I walk up and I introduce myself to somebody or I'm chatting with somebody, a lot of times I try to get them to tell me what they do first, because whatever they do, that's how I build my soundbite around them. Mm-hmm. So for instance, if I'm somewhere and they tell me that they own a small business, well, then I'm going to say, hey, I'm JP Staggs. I do web design. I have a company. We do small business websites. We do ministry websites. We do all this stuff, full service hosting. We have, X number of clients. We just really enjoy what we do. It's so fun to try to keep up with the technology and all this stuff. And so, just succinctly try to share what it is you do. Don't be pressuring, you're not trying to make a sales pitch, but you're just letting them know that that's what you do and, going about your business. And it's amazing how many times those people will recall that information, or they'll say, I saw you such and such, and we were talking, and you told me this. Do you have a business card? Do you have, whatever? And so they'll follow up. In fact, my best story from that is I actually landed a client in a receiving line at a funeral one time. I didn't mean to. It was an accident. I mean, I wasn't going there to get clients, obviously, but I still kind of chuckle about that, because that's the craziest place I've landed a website deal was, waiting in line to give my condolences to a friend. So,
JP, I don't know if I should laugh or not at that, but it's funny.
I know.
It's funny. So when creating a soundbite, JP recommends that you ask yourself the following questions. What is the most important thing I do? With whom do I work, or what is my target audience? And do I sound arrogant and self-inflated? I notice you didn't say, and I've won over 250 awards there. But what I do like about your soundbite is that you mentioned something at the end of how or why you enjoy what you do, because it goes back to that. You've got to be inspired yourself, even before you can inspire others. So that enthusiasm is really contagious, JP.
Right.
All right. Section 3 of your book is about using traditional marketing to get the word out about your business, about your ministry, about your church. And this would include newspapers and magazines, radio, and also television. And here's where I want to clarify something with you, JP. You're not talking about buying time on radio or television or placing an ad in a newspaper. What are you talking about when you're talking about traditional marketing and spreading the news about where I work or worship or my ministry? Go ahead.
Well, as you read the chapters, what I try to make clear is, yes, we can certainly go buy ad time and, go buy ad time on Oasis, absolutely. But what we're actually talking about here is organic marketing. So, for instance, let's say I have an event coming up. And to promote that event, I'm going to start reaching out to all the different media outlets that are within the radius that I want to target here. And I do this every year for some of the different charities that I'm a part of. But what we want to do is we want to start reaching out to them. Now, we don't approach them about buying ad space. We approach them about, hey, can we come in and do an interview? Can we come in and, talk about this event? Or for newspapers or magazines, what we're going to do is we're going to send them an actual article. We're going to send them a photo. We're going to have it all together where all they have to do is plug and play. It's easy to put in. It's professionally edited. We want to make it easy for them to run our content. So a lot of times these places, hey, they're happy to have relevant content that's easy and ready to put in. And so you'll be shocked how often they'll actually run that stuff.
Awesome. Well, JP, we're talking about 31 days of marketing, and we'll get into the following days here in just a bit. But tell us how we can get this book. What's the best website to visit? I know it's available on Amazon, so Amazon.com. Again, JP Jones, 31 Days of Marketing, but you have your own website. Tell us about it.
Yes, you can get the book directly at 31daysofmarketing.com or via a link on jpjonesmarketing.com. So it's kind of out there everywhere. If you do a Google search for the book, you should come up with several options for where to buy it. Right now on the 31daysofmarketing.com, if you purchase it through there, we actually have a mini book. A is for advertising that will come with it, so you get a little better deal than through the Amazon link. But wherever you're comfortable buying books, you should be able to find it.
All right. Thanks so much for that. So coming up, we're going to talk about promotional materials, how to use promotional materials when marketing our business, church, or ministry. Now, this is one of JP's fortes, for which she's won many of those 250 awards. Back after this.
The Road Show is a listener favorite, which airs each weekday here on the Oasis Radio Network, starting at 1 p.m. Eastern, 12 noon Central. The Road Show also has a great section on our website, oasisnetwork.org. There you'll find audio archives of select past interviews, plus guest lineup, and contact information and links to our Roadshow sponsors and its hosts. So join us for the Roadshow, whether on your radio or on your computer at oasisnetwork.org.
Here's a little bit about today's guest, JP Jones, author of 31 Days of Marketing. Well, first of all, she wears many hats. Among them are graphic design, web design, social media marketing, teaching, book publishing, blogging, and writing. The author of Market Yourself, A Beginner's Guide to Social Media, and the book we're talking about today, 31 Days of Marketing. JP is the owner of Page One Media and Page One Publishing, a graphic design firm and publishing company that work with domestic and international clients, aka missionaries, on projects ranging from basic logo development to magazine and book design. Her firms are contracted in joint venture with Calypsis Web Solutions, which handles web design and development for clients around the world, including the Oasis Radio Network. Today's guest has also served as an adjunct instructor at Oral Roberts University, teaching classes for the communications department. JP immerses herself in the current trends and technologies emerging in the industry. She says staying on top of technology is her job. Teaching it to others is her passion. And JP, how often is technology changing? Is it truly daily that you're learning new things about web hosting and other things that you all do?
It really is, because today there's so many different platforms out there. You know, one particular platform isn't changing daily, but between them all, it seems like we are constantly, okay, wait, did y'all see this article? This is new. This is different, you know. So thankfully, my team of programmers and system administrators that we have that work with us, they are great to really help be on the lookout for what's new and what's changed and what we need to update and all of this fun stuff. And so it seems like something is new every time we wake up.
Did you get your forte in what you do now for marketing? Were you designing before you did web hosting?
Yes, actually I was. So I actually started out, even if I go all the way back like to high school, you know, I did traditional like painting. I did commissioned painting pieces and did a lot of traditional art that way. So then that kind of transitioned into like the graphic design world, which that's what I got my degree in. She was graphic design. Now at that time, and I guess this goes back to kind of how things have shifted, at that time they did not offer a degree in web design. So what I did was I took as many video and related classes that I could to kind of fill in those parts of my education, and then did a lot of continuing education classes afterwards to make sure that I was up to speed on all of that. But the background that I have in design, and even all the way back to like the traditional art mediums, that comes forward for all this web design stuff, because like we talked about earlier, we have to find that balance between the design and the technical functionality.
Okay, so talking now about using promotional materials to market our business, church, or ministry. One of the choices is postcards, and I still receive those in the mail via direct mail. Would you say that postcards are effective in marketing?
I think their effectiveness is determined by who your audience is. So in some cases, depending on your industry or who it is you're trying to target, they may not be an effective option for you. But especially like where I live, I'm in a very rural community. We don't have a local television station. So we still rely very heavily on things that maybe come through the mail to help spread the word on things or this kind of. So for us in this area, yes, postcards are still very much a valuable asset. That event, that I talked about earlier that I help put together every year, our direct mail postcards really account for probably 50% of our attendance that they finally, they know it's coming, but they see that postcard and then they're suddenly ready to get their tickets. So, again, it's going to kind of depend on both your location and also what it is you're trying to promote. But they still have a valuable part to play in the right situations.
I'm glad we're talking about it because there is a cost involved as it is with flyers and posters. And are you up on those as well? I mean, would you say, yay, use it? Okay.
And again, maybe not, back in the day where you would have had a print run of 1,000 pieces to just plaster them everywhere. We can offset a lot of that now with social media that's not going to have that cost involved. But again, I do still think that today there is a place for the traditional pieces, the business card, the flyer, the poster. A lot of businesses and stores still have community boards where you can stick up events, especially about events. I think, again, that may be more event marketing than some of these other things. If you have a new release or something like that you want to share the word about, you can use these kind of materials. But it's going to be more of a one-time kind of marketing as opposed to just generally, spreading the word about a business. Does that make sense?
It totally makes sense.
This would be more of an event marketing.
Okay, and then finally, business cards. And I think, at least in my opinion, business cards are still very valid. It gives you something to put in somebody else's hand because you're not going to say, let me borrow your cell phone and I'll put in my digits if you don't know that person that well. They're not going to give you their cell phone. So tell us about using a business card as a mini advertisement versus just, this is my name and number.
Absolutely. Okay, so that's a very, very great point because here's the thing about a business card. It's small enough, people will stick it in their pocket. They're not necessarily going to trash it as soon as they turn the corner, after you give it to them, where we see that with things like flyers or even the larger postcards if you're doing a hand-to-hand kind of campaign. So if we do a business card, we can use both sides of it. We can do double-sided. We can still use it in terms of advertising as opposed to just contact information. So maybe one side has that contact information and then maybe the back side has, services you offer or your mission statement or how to get involved and be a partner or, when to come to this next event or so on and so forth. So you have a little bit extra real estate. Sometimes we don't even think about using the backside of that business card. I still have people, that'll come to me for a business card order and they're like, yeah, I want all this information on there, and I'm like, okay, so you want it double-sided? And they're like, oh, is that an option? And I'm like, absolutely. Use the back of that card, man. So, again, it's very valuable because it is something that they'll just stick in their pocket and they'll carry off.
And one of the things I have, JP, my business card for Oasis, it is standard size. But if I were to do it again, once I'm ready to reorder, I think I should do like I have for my own personal business cards or personal cards, I'll call them. I have a kind of an oddly shaped card about myself in that it's more rectangular. It's just more interesting to put in someone's hand than just that typical, size of a business card.
Well, for Calypsis, we actually have cards that are printed on a frosted plastic that are really neat. They're like translucent, but it's got all the information printed on there. And so they're really cool because people keep them like even just to use them as a bookmark. And so that's definitely something to think about. You can do business cards in all sorts of materials. I have a friend that's in construction. His business cards are literally on a very, very thin piece of wood. Like, that's how he gets them printed, and it's just the coolest thing.
That's really clever. If you went from the idea, you could even put like bookmark on the top edge of it, and the rest is your information. How clever is that?
Yep. There's no end to the things that you can do, and I actually tell people when it comes to design pieces, business cards are my favorite because we think of them as being so stagnant. Oh, there's only, a business card is a business card, but it's not. Like, you have so much creativity that what you can put into that, both with the materials that you use, but also with, how you lay out the information.
Well, our creative juices are flowing today. Hopefully yours are too, listening, as we're talking about different great ideas from J.P. Jones' book, 31 Days of Marketing, how to get the word out about where we work, where we worship, or our ministry that God has called us to spread His word, capital W. So the next thing that we can use to our benefit or God's benefit is social media. Now, let's interject here, just like with traditional media, we're not talking about buying space on Facebook or Instagram. We're talking about using these different platforms, but free, not spending money. So what ideas do you have in this area, JP?
One of the biggest things when it comes to social media marketing, and this is something, because I teach a lot of classes specifically about social media these days because that's what everybody wants to hear about. But the biggest thing I always tell people is you want to view it in two different ways. Yes, it is a mainstream marketing platform, but it's also a wonderful indirect marketing platform. And it goes back to what we were talking about earlier, where we were talking about how your inspiration and your passion can be contagious. Mm-hmm. The best example that I have of this, and it's kind of an old one, but I still use it because I've just never seen this example so clearly before, but I was at a conference where I was a guest speaker. And I was just there enjoying the conference, until it was my turn to speak. I was attending sessions and I was, learning from these other speakers and all of this stuff and just having a great time. Well, I had my book there in the bookstore, there at the event. And so I had posted about having the book there and took a picture, and showed it off. And then I was just talking about the conference. I had worn everybody out posting about the event and how cool it was and what I was learning and all this. And I had never used it that weekend. I never used it to say, hey, go buy my book. Hey, go, do this. Here's what I'm talking about, yada, yada, yada. Mm-hmm. And on Monday, I come back to the office and I had all of these emails and I had all of these messages where people were wanting to buy my book. And they're like, hey, where can we get this? What's the link? So forth and so on. And I'm thinking, how did that even happen? Because I wasn't promoting it. But what I was doing was I was sharing my passion. I was sharing my inspiration for the weekend online and what all I was learning. And it made people want to, even to the point that they wanted to go ask and seek out how to find that book. And so I think that's one of the biggest things we can do on social media. If you're in ministry, if it's your business, whatever it is, flood it. And I don't mean to the point of being overbearing, but when you think of something or something inspires you or you see something that's awesome, that's relative to what you're talking about, share those things on social media because people will get caught up in your excitement. And that's what we want to do. We want to share that excitement through social media. We want to show them, just like in all these other mediums, how we're passionate about these items and how we're passionate about these things that we're doing.
I love that. It all goes back to enthusiasm is contagious. JP, before I tell people how they can order your book, because now they are enthused about who you are and what you do you have one handy there, one of your books?
I do.
Okay, if you would flip to page 169, and this is actually the conclusion of the book, but it's a great way to wrap up this segment because we're going to change our focus for our final minutes together. We have something fun planned for you all listening today. But read this to us, if you would, JP.
Okay. So our conclusion is 31 days later, you should be well on your way to increasing your marketing potential. As you work to develop the things we discussed within these pages, my final charge to you would be to keep at it. Marketing, like anything else, takes time. You will not begin this process today and wake up tomorrow with several hundred orders for your efforts. Remember, no event is a waste. Even if very few people show up or no one purchases your product, any promotion is a good thing. You might need to alter your approach, revise your promotional text, or work toward a different goal, but don't give up. As you travel down the road of marketing, there will be days when you feel like nothing is working and there is no use. To this day, I still go through those times. However, every time I do, something will occur to remind me that it is working. And I guarantee you that if you give it enough time, it'll work for you too.
I love that. All right, JP, so remind us again where we can get the book besides Amazon.com. Again, JP Jones, 31 Days of Marketing, but you have your own website for the book and something special on the website.
Yes, 31daysofmarketing.com. If you order through there, you actually get a copy of the mini book, A is for Advertising, so that'll be included in your order. And you can get them there at 31daysofmarketing.com or also jpjonesmarketing.com. That'll give you a link to the same, and it's got some other goodies and information on there as well.
Awesome. JP Jones, our guest today. I am David Warren, your host. And when we come back for our final minutes together, we're going to find out what's going on in JP's personal life, what has taken place since she was with us on the air this last time. Well, one of the things is she's gotten married. Another important thing, she's had a baby. Plus, I want to ask about that collection of Roy Rogers memorabilia because I know that it continues to grow. JP and David Warren here. We'll be back for the wrap-up after this. I'm David Warren, Program Director at Oasis Radio Network and one of the hosts of this podcast. All of our hosts enjoy hearing from you, our listening family, so drop us a note. Our email address is roadshow@oasisnetwork.org. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast and you'll receive new episodes on your mobile devices. And now, back to the show. On today's program, it has been such a joy to have back with us JP Jones, author of 31 Days of Marketing. Since the last time that JP graced our airwaves here at Oasis, she has gotten married. Again, congratulations to you. Tell us about your man.
Thank you. Well, we wound up having one of those COVID weddings, where you wind up just eloping in the front yard at the farm. We had the big thing planned, but, everything started shutting down. And so we decided not to spend a lot of money that we might not get back on deposit. But it couldn't have been any more perfect. My husband is a fourth-generation beekeeper. He also raises cattle, so we live on the family's 180-acre farm. It's tons of fun. I love it out there. But we got married in 2020, and then, like you alluded to, last year we actually, our son was born on November 2nd of 2021, so it seems like we've had a lot of things happen these last couple of years.
And your son's name is?
Charlie Jasper.
Charlie Jasper.
He's named after my grandpa, actually, who passed away in 2014. His name was Charlie, so.
Charlie, and your new last name is Staggs.
Staggs, Staggs.
Staggs. And how's the Wi-Fi at the farm?
Oh, it's kind of terrible. It comes and goes. It comes and goes. I know you've contacted me a few times, and I'm like, I can't do anything right now. My internet's not working. But I can always drive over. I'm actually at my mom's right now, so I still have an office over at her house, so I can drive over here and do what I need to do. She lives in the big city, so.
That's great. Tell people where you live. I mean, not too much where you live, but the area.
We're in Lawrenceburg, which is about 70 miles south of Nashville. We're on the Tennessee-Alabama line, so that's where the accent comes from. I was born and raised here, and then I came out to Oklahoma and was out there for 10 years, going to school and working at Rhema, and then came back in 2011.
All right. Before we talk about your Roy Rogers memorabilia collection, you piqued my interest when you mentioned that you all, is it harvest or farm honey? How do you say that?
We are Brush Creek Honey Farm. And so we have about 70 hives that we actively work or have people that actually, we have them in different locations. So they're not all just right there on our farm. But you do have to be careful mowing, even around our house, because there's honeybees all the time.
Wow.
They're everywhere. But it is so awesome. If you have never had, just fresh honey, literally like right off the comb, it's amazing. There's nothing like it.
Wow. So have you gotten involved with the beekeeper suit and everything?
I sure have. I have the full suit. I'm a wonderful assistant. I still don't know near as much as the rest of them do, but I do whatever they tell me to do.
I have to go there. Have you been stung?
Yes, I have. In fact, I've been stung, I think, a couple of times. The worst one, though, he flew up and I had a bandana in my hair, just trying to keep my hair kind of out of my face. And he got stuck in it, the bee did. And so he stung me right in the top of the head. That smarted pretty good.
Well, so do you all sell the honey?
We do. We even have distributors and stores that sell our honey. But we do festivals and craft shows and stuff, and we'll actually sell it directly. And we have a full line of jams and things that go with our honey. So we've got all sorts of, you know me, I've got all sorts of irons in the fire.
I was going to say, poor thing, she just needs one more thing to do. She must be so bored. Okay, before we say goodbye, JP, the last time we spoke, we revealed that you have quite a growing collection of Roy Rogers memorabilia. Now, how big is this collection?
Well, it's big enough that I finally talked my mom into letting me have half of her basement, which is a full-size basement, and we have cabinets and curios and everything set up. It's all displayed. We have our own little museum. I just love it. But yes, I'm still constantly adding to it. And you know that my 7-month-old son, he already watches the Roy Rogers show with me, and I'm pretty sure he already knows the song. So he perks up when he hears it come on. So he's getting trained up right.
We're going to go out of today's program with that song, and I know there's only one song you're referring to when you say that, but why did you choose Roy Rogers?
Well, to be honest, my grandpa got me into it, which obviously we were super close because, like I said, we named Charlie after him, but right after Roy Rogers passed away, my grandfather was talking about him, and I didn't know who it was. And that was back in, I think, 1999. And he says, you know, how can you not know who that is? I have failed you. And so he started, like, grabbing movies, and, like, we're watching all these Roy Rogers movies, and it just kind of became a thing with my grandpa and me and my sister. And so we just started, every time we were out at an antique place, we would start picking up items, and it just kind of became a thing.
What are some of the things you're most proud of, some of your finds for the museum?
Well, we have some really cool pieces. I think one of my favorite pieces is actually a children's toothbrush from 1962. It's brand new. It's still in the wrappers. It's not used, but it is a Roy Rogers toothbrush. And still to this day, there's more Roy Rogers memorabilia and merchandise. The only person that has exceeded that is Walt Disney in terms of having more items and merchandise with their name and their brand on it. Roy Rogers is still second as far as that goes. So I think he was a brilliant marketer. So I think that, you know, that just kind of fits into everything that I do.
Well, one of the things I have done was add to your collection because I found,
yes.
actually it was Pam here, our office manager, and she somehow had it in her hand. I said, you know who it? No, it was my sister. She's listening to this, so I better make sure I'm correct here. My sister Shelley mentioned she had this Roy Rogers mouse pad. Now, that's pretty random. And I said, JP, do you have a mouse pad, Roy Rogers mouse pad? And you're like, no, I don't.
Now.
You do now. So anything you're looking for, we have quite a large listening audience, JP. What are you missing you wish you had?
Well, to be honest, and this is going to be kind of out there, but I want to eventually get one of the mechanical triggers like they had at the grocery stores. There's still some of them in existence, but they're several $1,000s. But that's on my main bucket list is I want to get one of those quarter-operated trigger, you know, mechanical horses because they're, like I said, they are still around. I've seen some of them. I would like to own one of those one day. So.
And Charlie Staggs.
And then maybe I can start paying for my collection a quarter at a time. I'll, you know, let kids come over and ride on it for a quarter.
But Charlie Staggs, your son, gets the first ride.
That's right. He gets the first ride.
Hey, JP, thanks for a great hour of talking about this fun stuff. And, of course, 31 Days of Marketing. The website's, again, 31daysofmarketing.com, jpjonesmarketing.com. When you order on one of these websites, JP throws in an extra A is for advertising. The book is also available on Amazon.com, so you can get it there. Again, today's guest, JP Jones, is how her name is listed on the book, but now she is -Staggs, and we are so glad she has joined us for the hour. And JP, again, thank you for hosting our website, oasisnetwork.org. We couldn't be more pleased, and look forward to many more years together with Calypsis.
Thank you for having me. We've had a great time today.
We sure have, JP. Well, for JP Jones, I'm David Warren. Roy Rogers is going to sing us out of today's road show. Happy trails, everybody.
Happy trails to you until we meet again. Happy trails to keep smiling until then.
You've been listening to The Road Show. If you'd like to write to us, here's our address. The Road Show, P.O. Box 1924, Tulsa, Oklahoma 74101. Our email address is roadshow@oasisnetwork.org. The views of today's guest aren't necessarily those of this station, but we do appreciate and thank our guest for spending this time with us. The Road Show, an Oasis Network presentation.